Hey guys, Frank here, your virtual general aviation aviator, and today I am going to take a look at the Cessna 172 NG digital by AirFoilLabs. Now, they call it the digital version because it has the glass cockpits. So let's get started. When the sim first starts, then it starts off with a opening screen, and in order to actually get into the cockpit you click on this take control. This take control is actually removable. Now I have X camera running in the background and it's not compatible with X camera, so let me close X camera. And I believe that's because, let me open the window here. It's in the little time that I had it running, my windows started to fog up because the aircraft consider me on the inside. But anyway, yeah, it's not quite compatible with X camera because it has its own set of views that's X camera like. It does have its own set of cameras, and you can get them by pulling the mouse down in the lower right hand corner. Actually, let me turn off the webcam so you can see what they are. So I can actually zoom in on items, and these are all predetermined. I don't know if you can change these views. I don't think you can, but if you want custom views, then there is always X camera. Perhaps these can be disabled, or X camera can be made to look um, compatible. In fact, I just discovered something that I had not seen before, and that's this guy. So it looks like they do give you the ability to do some customization, to customize specific quick look view. Change your camera position and click on the selected view item to store it. So yeah, that answers that. Okay, so there is a lot about this aircraft to be learned, and it's new, and actually already we are already at version 1.1, so it's a continuous development project, which I for one do appreciate. I really appreciate those developers who actually circle back to fix stuff and continue to have their aircraft evolve. And L4 Labs is actually one of those companies. The Cessna 172 SP that they released about 4 or 5 years ago is still under development. I still occasionally get updates. Anyway, I digress. Okay, so the next thing we will take a look at is the menuing system. Is that a word? Anyway, so as with the King Air, L4 Labs developed these buttons here that you mouse over and they expand. And while I'm not going to go through each and every one of them in detail, just give you an overview of what they do. So this one right here is it's like the aircraft setting. Picture the aircraft and then the setting button. And you got 4 states: cold and dark, before start, before taxi, and before takeoff. So if you are one of those people who want to go through the immersion to get the aircraft uh, in a before in a cold and dark state, then you can click that button. Or if you are one of those people who are just want to spun in on the taxiway and take off, then you can click the before start and get it ready to pretty much ready to fly. Flaps already set. I even, let's see, I wonder if the engine temperatures are up. Or temp is in the green, and or yeah, or temp is in the green. So yeah, it's ready to fly. Um, pretty pretty good. Flaps are set. Um, the trim is set to take off. So hey, it's ready to apply the power. And of course, there are states in between, before start, before taxi, and so forth and so on. 2D panels. The PD. So these panels allow you to pop out stuff. I can pop out the PDF panel, the MDF panel, the the what this is the AUD. They call it the AUD. I'm not sure what AUD stand for, but that's this panel here in the middle. And the good thing about popping stuff out is that you can move them around to where you want them. I can close up stuff. I didn't mean to click that. Uh, yeah, I can close up. Let me just move this up so I can click this red button, or I can toggle them on and off, by using the buttons. I've got the the um, I'm not sure what the stuff is called, but the electrical systems, the electrical button control panel. That's what I'm going to call it. The steam gauges, the fuses, the throttle quadrant, and flap control, the trim quadrant. That's not a quadrant, but the trim controls, and so that the stuff don't get in your way and stay in your way. It's made to the panel. Once you mouse off the panel, it's made to go away, which is actually a good thing. The electrical panel, I did have some experience with that. I actually did a flight where I left the the alpha yoke, um, the well, the let me turn this warning off, and let me go back to cold and dark. See, I actually get to use this stuff. But the I actually started the aircraft, and let me put the key in, and had had the the position on start, and I couldn't figure out why it was draining my battery. As you know, for any of you guys who have the Alpha yoke, there's no spring in it, so you have to manually turn it back to both once it cranks, once your engine starts to run. Okay, so, and of course, one of the things that's so cool is the engine parameters. So right now, I know that I need to prime it before I can start it, and I can see the engine temps. Now, the sim apparently knows that I just turned the aircraft off because I still got some residual heat on my cylinders that is going down. Now, not only do I get cylinder head temperatures, but I also get EGTs, or exhaust gas temperatures, in this diagram. So that's pretty cool, and it's animated. I'm just gonna crank it. It's not gonna start, but I am gonna crank it just to let you see. I've got to turn the battery on to crank it, and you can see it cranking. So yeah, it is animated. Okay, um, let's go on down. Okay, so here I like to call this static elements, and you can see my window is fogging up, because the 172 has a really small cabin. It's got the temperature, the outside temperature is fairly chilly, um, and it doesn't take much breath to actually cause the windows to fog. I understand this aircraft do icing also, so maybe we get a chance to take a look at that in the next video. So anyway, let's go back here to static elements. So that's my GPU that I just clicked. It shows a battery. The other static elements I can turn off and on. These P-top covers, the collar covers, and my chucks. Um, and let's see. In fact, let me turn stuff off, and I don't need the GPU. Uh, Tie downs and the the heater. The if I'm up in Montana, Idaho, Canada, Alaska, or someplace in Europe that has cold temperatures, or even Russia, or any place that has temperatures where I need to heat the engine to get it started properly, then that's I got a heater here. Let's see what else, and then finally, sometimes we just can't afford hangers, so we use the next best thing, and that's this rain cover. You can see that shut my window before well, you may have not have noticed, but I noticed that before I put the rain cover on, my window was open, and by putting the rain cover on it, it's now closed. So let me get back in and open it back up. Um, so I can keep my windows from fogging. And if that ain't immersion, then what is? Okay, so I got options. Let me go back outside, so I can add fairings. Um, I can change. I can change. I can put hubcaps on the wheels. Let's see. Let's put those hubcaps on. Um, Now, I'm assuming that they're hubcaps. They may just be more expensive rims. I'm not sure. Um, if you know, leave it in the comments because I would like to know. All right, so um, and then I can use Tundra tires. I can let me get up here where I can see my wings, and I can put vortex generators on the wings. Um, and the flap seals. Let me get under the wing this time, and let's see if we can't get over here. It's amazing how these guys want to just keep looking at me. Um, there's a guy who made videos. His name is Flying Dad. Hey, Flying Dad, if you're watching this, anyway, he likes to name his characters, and I get such a kick out of him calling the girl that rides with him in Microsoft Flight Simulator Jude, and he actually talks to her during the flights. Okay, so I digress. All right, let's get options back up and come on, flap guards. That went away. Flap. Come on. All right, so. Uh, I guess I got to be a little faster. Oh, I hit the wrong button, and I can't seem to get those to work. But you saw these change. Um, so let's trying to get a better view here, and let's take them off now. So yeah, and and then the angle of attack. Um, we do have an angle of attack device here, which I usually like to keep on. It's just, more feedback. I can toggle the tablet on and off. Now stand there. And this guy here, um, I'm assuming that it has something to do with the headset, and I'm not sure that it's fully. Um, okay, there we go. So yeah, I think once I think it allows me, and I'm just guessing, to mute the sound when I have the headsets on. So as I as I learn more about this aircraft, then I figured it out for sure. And I can't promise you that I'll report back. All right, so then we go down to our weight and balance, and this is really cool. So I can instantly set my passengers to one passenger, two passengers, three or four, and I can click on it and actually have more granular control by putting in passengers. And what's so cool, and I like this very much, is that I can change my passengers. So often I have felt under represented in the flight sim. I'm a black guy, and I've always had to be represented as as a white guy whenever I fly. And so when I'm doing outside views, then I know that person does not look anything like me. So anyway, just to have somebody who looked like me is pretty cool. And yeah, so and of course, when it comes to fuel, I can either use the sliders or I can go outside. And let me just go outside. Um, okay, so I'm pointed up. Yep. Okay, so now I can click on it, and now I can open up the gas fuel. I can check the dipstick. Looks like I got 6, 7 gallons in it, and I can put gas in it this way. Um, and I wish gas was $1.70. So let me increase the unit price to something that's more realistic. 425 is probably more realistic, and I can put gas in it. So I just put 3.2 gallons in it. Cost me $13. Wow, and gas expensive. And and I need 16.8 gallons to fill it to the top. All right, so there we go. And now I can click on this to remove and put my fuel cap back. And if I want to get down, I can just click back on this guy here. I need for it to point down. Well, actually, I don't need it to point. Well, maybe I do need it to point down. Um, or maybe it doesn't point down. Yeah, I think it's just one way. So anyway, you get the idea. All right. So that's just a that just another way to add fuel to the tanks. So the point is you can be as immersive as you like to be, which I for one really appreciate. All right, next we've got the failures button. So if I have a failure, then I can click on this guy and bring up this panel, and depending on what failed, where I can just click fix all components, or I can drill down to the actual item that's failed and either fix it or look at it, schedule a failure. So I've got some granular control over failures. Um, what The only thing that I'm missing in the failure scenario is the random failure. I mean, I can set a mean time failure. So I know somewhere at 16 hours, in the next 16 hours and 40 minutes, it's going to fail. But but I kind of prefer just, being able to just say random, and that's kind of the way stuff happen in real life. You get that, like I said, you get that granular control over everything. Of course, you can save scenarios and then reload them. Um, so that's pretty cool. Next, we have this. Let's see, this guy, and this is settings. Um, this is pretty self-explanatory. Show passengers, and I've got mine set to always. Show pilot only when outside. I don't want the pilot in the seat when I'm in the seat, when I'm in the cockpit view. Environmental sounds, and since I use XP Realistic, I should probably disable this. And pilot callouts I tend to have disabled, because I don't fly with a co-pilot when I'm flying the Cessna. Um, and I do have the R warnings on, and they, believe it or not, have not been annoying. Pop-up delay, self-explanatory. Okay, and moving on, this button here is to load and save situations. That's pretty self-explanatory. I don't have any custom um, scenarios saved or and loaded, saved. And then I've got the remote hanger fob, and I have not used this at all. Don't know how to use it, and not sure that I ever will. Maybe at some point. Um, well, I think the remote fob has something to do with music. So I think maybe I can actually, and maybe a way to play music, um, from. I'm not sure. I have to dive into the manual to figure that out. Okay, so that covers our buttons and our quick views. And so let's get back in the cockpit, and let's set it back up on cold and dark because I don't see my covers. Well, actually, I did have it on cold and dark, and I actually removed the static elements. So I want to go ahead and remove the chucks and the tie downs. So now it should be in a state that's ready to start the engine. So there is a lot with this aircraft. So let me grab the key, stick it in there, and turn my alpha mags to off. I can use my alpha yoke to turn the key. However, I noticed that if I turn it really quickly, it doesn't work. So I have to turn it pretty slowly. Okay. So um, I do have a standby battery, which is a really small battery that I can turn on to to start my Garmin PDF. It does not control the MDF, so it only fires up one of these screens. There's a test button, and in the pre-flight it says hold it down for 20 seconds to test. So I think that if there's something going on with it, then the button might turn red or something. I'm not sure, but I've held it down for at least 20 seconds. I'm fogging up here again, so my window must be closed again. I've held it down for at least 20 seconds, and I didn't see anything change. Um, and when you first get in the aircraft and start it up, then all of the panels backlight brightness is set to low, so you really do have to crank it up to a brightness that suits you. It's not going to be there by default, which honestly I appreciate. And if this warning um, dings, then there's a button here that you can turn the warnings on and off. Let's get this aircraft started. Now, one of the things that I do like about this aircraft is I've got manuals here that I can pull out and reference. So I've got my general my POH, which is a requirement that I have on board, and it's only 2 pages. So it just show me some general um, stuff, the cover page, and then my wingspans and whatnot. I can access my limits, and which is immensely important during flights and planning a flight. I got my checklist, which is really comprehensive. The pre-flight goes through pretty much everything that I need to go through to do a thorough pre-flight. So if you are in training, then going through this guy a few times is probably really beneficial. Um, and it's 4 pages long, so that's page one, two, three, and four, and all of these are pre-flight. Then I've got the let's see back. Then I got the before engine start um, on battery, engine start on GPU checklist. Before takeoff, climbing, cruise, descent, before landing, and securing. So I got checklists for literally all phases of flight. And lo and behold, I definitely may find that I might need the emergency checklists. That's, if you got the altitude and you have an in-flight emergency, being able to reference stuff to try to get the engine going again is pretty important. Engine failure during restart. Okay, and then my performance um, checklist. Um, I've taken a couple flights in the aircraft, and I can tell you already I've been rotating at 65, and now see I should rotate. I should let the aircraft get a little faster before I rotate. I'm so used to the 152, and I think I've been using in my mind the 152 rotation speeds. So yeah, um, best rate of climb, VY, V best rate V V VY, and then best angle VX. So I got all that here, and and yeah, so this is immensely important. Okay, and that pretty pretty much does it. Oh yeah, one other thing that I should go back and mention with this pre with this checklist is there are three ways that I can do it. I can go through the checklist manually just by looking at everything and making sure that it's checked off, or I can set it to be interactive by clicking this settings cog, and I can set it to semi-automatic or completely automatic. And if it's completely automatic, I can select what speed that I want it to go through. Um, if it's completely automatic, then if things are in the correct state, then it's just gonna keep going until it finds something that needs attention. Um, and show checklist hints, I can turn on and off, and speech I can turn on and off. For me, right now, I've been keeping it manual, and that's odd because I do a lot of checklists with X checklister and have it on the equivalent of semi manual. Um, but um, but go figure. Okay, so with that said, and I even though I do have checklists for starting the engine, in the interest of time, I am just going to start it from memory. Now I do have the Alpha Bravo, so I'm able to move some things without having to actually point at it. So if you see stuff move, then that's because I do have um, a yoke that allow me to use it. So I can see my oil pressure and crack my throttle. Prop clear. All right. So I really do believe that this aircraft really do. Let me throttle down to 1,000 RPMs. I'm at 1,200 and check my oil pressure. Oil pressure is high for whatever reason. It's not in the green, so let me bring it down, and now throttle, bring it back up. So yeah, I'm gonna keep my oil pressure in the green. So I'm gonna set it here to 830 for the moment, and let my oil temperature start to rise. Okay, and you can see the animation that I was telling you about a little bit earlier. And I can turn on my avionics now, and that's a good thing. I can, of course, I have a combination taxi light, so I don't have a separate button for taxiing. So um, I've got three positions: off, taxi, and landing. All right, so I'm stick turn that on taxi again, and here I've got the the GPS, and it's got a picture of the aircraft. Let's see if it's got the arc. No, it doesn't. It's just a static screen. So yeah, um, the, it's a modified laminar GPS, Garmin GPS. So, and the modifications are specific to AirFoilLabs. So it does have a little bit more capability than the stock GPS. Okay, so I can turn this guy off. That's my standby battery, and I can lean for taxi. Now, um, uh, lean for ground, I mean, and to get the best lean for ground, I can click here on engine and click on lean, and I can get a graphic representation of my exhaust gas temperatures, and they actually look pretty okay where they are, but let's try the lean assist, and it's still a little cold right now, but if I pull it down, then my exhaust gas temperatures go up, and looks like they're peaking at about 1710. So I'm gonna keep it on the rich side. So 1710, so maybe 1680 is a good is a good is a good temperature to lean it out. All right. So yeah, um, and then systems, oil pressure is positive, or temperature is coming up, um, and my fuel quantity. So I get all the stuff that I normally would get. This lean system is one of the mods that L4 Labs has added to this glass cockpit. I should have zoomed in a little bit closer to help you guys see it. And um, back to engine, where I can get my vacuum, my electrical, and so forth and so on. Like I said the other day, I took a flight, and I had my yellow caution on, and let's pull this down and get rid of this warning. And this guy was in the yellow, and I could not figure out why. It turns out that I had my start button on, um, and I actually brought up the panel with the electrical system, and I could see that something was awry, and I'm learning to read this thing. I should have been able to see that my starter is engaged because I got some energy moving from my starter. So let's turn that off, and now you can see everything is in the blue. The grounds are green, and everything is where it should be. My standby battery looks like it might be a little weak. Um, and I am going to turn it on to see if it charges. Yeah, so I do need to look like if I turn it back to the on position, then it looked like I am getting some current back to it to help it recharge. So this is immensely informational. All right, and kill that caution from the procedure, the test that I just did. And let's see, where were we? Okay, we were at engine parameters, and so I'm good there. Um, and of course, I can pop this stuff out, which I tend to not do. So now that I've got the engine running, I can actually close my window and check my door, make sure it's closed. I can put my headset on, um, and now you can hear how the engine sounds have really died down with the headset on. And I can put in that 10 degrees of flaps, and I've got it leaned, and I can turn on some cabin heat. Probably don't need that much. My outside temperature I can get now, it's 1 degree Celsius, which is about what, 35 degrees or so. Um, and and let me just pour some air on. So yeah, so now with the window closed, I shouldn't get any fogging. And let's just do a quick circuit around the pattern. In order to do that, I really should get an ATIS. And I do have trim buttons here, and looks like they are modeled, so that's pretty cool. Up, down. Okay, so the click spots are here on the buttons, so that's good to know. All right, so let's take off. I am not going to show you the taxi. Okay, so I've approached the runway, and of course, normally I want to do a quick run up or a run up, no matter how quick it is. So I just want to power up to 1700, um, and let's see. Now, I do have a friend who I chat with, and his name is Ron, and we often talk about how hard it is to see the glass cockpit, and I am in complete agreement. Let me do my mad check because I'm digressing, but I am in complete agreement that if you're looking at this left, if you're looking at these little screens on a 27-inch or 20-inch monitor, it's going to be extremely difficult to see relative to seeing the steam gauges. There is some more to the run up that I should do, like check the electrical and that kind of stuff. In fact, I got a caution here, so I think that's let's see, got that on both. Yeah, so I do have a caution on my electrical. So in reality, I would want to do a little bit more than I'm actually doing. In fact, let's see. See all this red here. So my generator is my alternator is not putting out um, the right amount of well, something's going on with my alternator, and let's see. So we could go to failures here, and let's see. Alternator is a system, I think. Alternator. Well, it says my alternator is okay. Not sure what's going on, but I do have a fault somewhere in my electrical system. So in reality, at this point, with this battery pulling negative amps, and this is my standby battery. So I'm just gonna shut it off. I think. Okay, yeah, shutting it off fixed it. All right. So yeah, you see how immersive that is? Because I was about to say, in real life, I would go ahead and taxi back to the to the hangar, the FBO, and have that checked out. But I was able to troubleshoot it right here in the cockpit, and that's pretty immersive. Okay, so flaps set, get the lights turned on, strobes, and again, the alpha yoke does not control the lights on this aircraft, which I really wish they did. Lights, camera, action, and check my compass. Compass look okay. So I'm not going to rotate at 65, but 75. And 70 rotate. Okay. And again, I can quickly find out what my um what you call it, these guys are. So flaps up, I should be climbing out at 75 knots. Okay, so that means that I got flaps in. So so you so yeah, that means that I can pull my nose up and if I had an extended climb, then I know exactly where I need to be. So I am going to go around and land. Okay, so pull that mixture back a little, um, and I should be able to see my my temperatures. Okay, so power back 2300. One thing about the 172, it's a extremely forgiving aircraft. Okay, and at RDU, it um, if you do any pattern work on the east side of the airport, then it's always going to be right traffic that they're going to give you. Okay, because there is a another runway on the left. So, so I'm gonna beam the numbers. So power back to maybe 1700. Get in flat range. Flat range now. 10 degrees of flaps. Start my turn and look for a 500 foot per minute descent. Now I was a little high. I was 100 feet high, so that shouldn't really bother me too much. Trim for that 500 feet. See if we can see that trim wheel moving. And find my runway, take a look at it. This is VFR. And in reality, what you want to do is run that pattern enough times where being able to look and get a sight picture without having to look at your gauges is where you want to be. And especially for your home airport, you want to know exactly, you want to memorize those landmarks that will get you, that will show you where your turns is without having to focus on stuff outside the aircraft. Let me drop another um, some more flaps and trim and try to pick up my glide slope here. I'm going to go ahead and power back. I think I should be coming in at about 70. And I'm at 80. So go ahead and put in 4 flaps here. See if that slows me down. And it did. And there's my slope coming in. All right, so if I can hold this and add a little power, because I don't want to stall before I reach the runway. I'm at 657. That's probably a little slow. And here's my touchdown point. Eyes to the end of the runway. And flare. Power out. Flare. And I'm down. So, the AirFoilLabs Cessna 172 digital, or NG, NextGen. Um, Couple things, well, not a couple, but another thing that I noticed on the NG model is they moved the the light. Now let's get across this guy. And here's where I would clean up. And I usually use the FLT, um, flaps, lights, and transponder, um, as my um, as my memory aid. Okay, so as I was saying, one thing that I noticed, they moved the light to the moved the light, added the light to the left side, because on some of the older aircraft you had only this light for night operations, and now you got dual lights. So I think that's really good for them to have done. All right, so I'm just gonna pull up here and shut down. I'm not gonna taxi all the way back to the hangar. Make sure ain't nothing coming. I do have traffic global running, so therefore I do need to be cognizant that other aircraft could be in the vicinity. As I said, icing is modeled, as well as fogging up on the inside, um, and this aircraft has a lot to offer. In fact, I for a long time I thought well, I've always circled back to fly my 172, um, and now I've got a 172 that I really can fly and enjoy the immersion that I would get with some of the other aircraft. L4 Labs, if you're listening, continue to work on the steam gauge version. There are a lot of us who still fly the steam gauge version of because of get that done, because of the gauges. They're so much easier to read. Speaking of steam gauges, I didn't set the altimeter on mine, so that was a no-no when I got my METAR. Anyway, guys, I hope this has been useful in introducing you to the L4 Labs. Let's see if I can get the static element set. Yeah, I do. Getting you introduced to the L4 Labs C172, aka digital. I bet that guy pushed right through me. Ah, smart. Looked like he's gonna turn. Yeah, good, good. The logic is getting better and better. All right, guys. So until next time.
Y'all come back now. Cheers.